Good afternoon. We've got another early interesting pickup for you today. Unfortunately we can't make it work as such, but I think it's interesting to have a look at all the same. But we'll start with this, which is a perfectly ordinary acoustic or mechanical sound box from a gramophone. Yes, it's a perfectly ordinary mechanical acoustic sound box with a micro diaphragm. It's about 7 centimetres in diameter, that's about 2 3/4 inches. It's got a stylus bar and the springs tensioning at the bottom. It's absolutely ordinary. And you do find them with brand names on. Goldring is a very common one. They're all made in Europe and imported over here by the hundreds of thousands. And so there's nothing special about it. So why am I showing it you? Yes, indeed, why? Well, here's the one you've just seen. It's got a little stub on the back that goes into the arm, the tone arm. It's got knurling around the edge. It's an aluminium casing. So I'll put this one down and show you another one, which has also got a stub on the back that goes into an arm, and it's got knurling around the edge, and it's black this time, slightly smaller than the other one, and it's got where you put the needle, and it's got a pivot. But it is not a sound box. No, in fact it's an electric pickup in the shape of an acoustic sound box. And why not? Because pickups on sound boxes on gramophones had always looked like this, more or less, for many years. So if you want an electric one, we obviously take that design and adapt it to work electrically, so that's fine. An Acuston company were in Berlin, Germany, and they made, in the 1920s, they made mostly loudspeakers, but in 1928, so it's early in the game, they marketed this electric reproducer to go on to your gramophone. And so there we are, let's have a look inside it. Well, from the bottom up, we've got the needle holder, and those red things you see, those are emergency washers I've stamped out of silicone as a makeshift. All the rubber in this was completely petrified. Then a bit further up the stylus bar, there's a pillar that had some more rubber damping to avoid certain resonances. And the stylus bar carries on up and ends in a small iron disc, which is in front of the poles of 2 electromagnets, just like in an old telephone earpiece. I've taken the stylus bar off, and there are the electromagnets, as I said, just like in a telephone, and the curly wires connected to insulated bushes, which are connected through to a wire which went out from the back of the pickup. Then in the compartment behind the sound box are the 2 iron rings, which must have been the magnets, and there's absolutely zero magnetism left in them. The pole pieces are clamped down under those rings as part of those 2 little screws, and either one or both the coils are open circuit. So as regards getting this thing to sing again, I'm afraid that's pretty much out of the question. Well, I'm afraid that pickup is had it. Can't see any way of making it work again. But it's a very interesting design, and not entirely without precedent, because there's one here which we demonstrated some time ago, which works on the same principle, the stylus bar with a little disc at the end which comes in and out in front of a magnet. So it's not without precedent. But then, you know, just as we thought everything was going to be okay, a little demon came and sort of burrowed into our head and said, well, okay, the electromagnetic side of that thing is shot, but the rest of it's in pretty good shape. And we've got a pickup, like an acoustic pickup, with a stylus bar with a little disc on the end. And so what would happen if you put that disc against a piezo-electric transducer and had it working against that? What would happen? And I said, well, that's silly. And the little demon said, well, you know, but you do silly things like that. And the demon was absolutely right. Okay, here we are then. I've glued a sort of washer of fiberglass with a big hole in it, of course, Very lightly glued it, and I've lightly glued the transducer to that. And there's a wire leading off, and question, does it work? Answer, oh yes it does. It's putting out about a volt. I've had to put an attenuator in, but more to the point, what does it sound like? Well, let's get it fixed on the gramophone. Well, here we go then, and I don't know what made me pick out this record. It's not one of my usual sort. It's a US Oriole by Frankie Wallace, who must be Frank Marvin, doing Slu Foot Lou, and I just popped it on as a test, and I thought, oh, what a fabulous record. I've always liked Jimmy Rogers, and they're all kind of, I think they all knew each other, you know. Very good. So here we go. Oh, and the sound will not come out through the speakers and go back into the camera. I'll stick it on the computer and dub it back into the video. So anyway, I hope you'll agree that this was having a bit of fun. Bye.
In all the years I've roamed around, was just today I really found that certain girl that boys go wild about. She tore my heart right out. She's long and tall, she's got a funny name, but I love that gal just the same. Slu Foot Lou is 9'2" and slim as a doggone rail. The boys go wild about this child. In fact, there's 4 in jail. She don't use powder or paint, but she's got that certain something the other girls ain't. Whether 2'9" or 9'2", you never get lonesome with Slu Foot Lou. Slu Foot Lou is 9'2", and her heart is made of gold. She's got oil down in Oklahoma, some that's gonna be sold. 'Cause she promised me a brand new bus. If I'd only love her, I love her or bust. Whether 2'9" or 9'2", I'll never get an inch away from Slu Foot Lou. She don't use powder or paint, but she's got that certain something the other girls ain't. Whether 2'9" or 9'2", I'll never get an inch away from Slu Foot Lou.